Hello everyone. In today's session, we are going to learn about biogeochemical cycles. Biogeochemical cycles are the interactions, especially chemical interactions that exist between atmosphere, that is the air around the earth, hydrosphere, that is the water bodies of the earth, lithosphere, that is a solid content, that is a soil and rock of the earth, and the biosphere, that is a living material of this earth. So bio means life, geo means earth, chemicals in this particular context, elements, they are elements like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, etc., which are very, very essential for the living organisms. So biogeochemical cycles are nothing but interactions, chemical interactions which exist between the components of earth or the environment. These biotic and abiotic processes, which are nothing but the interactions, they drive these cycles. This is the diagrammatic representations of biogeochemical cycles, where the solar energy, which is the main source of energy for these organisms or for all the processes, this will drive the matter circulation or transfer of minerals from one place to another place in between these four components of the environment, and the major energy which drives this is the solar energy. So we can say that solar energy, cycling of matter, and the gravity, all these three things sustain the earth's life. If you want to see that the earth's life is continuing, then all these three things have to be given to the earth. That is the sun's energy, that is solar energy. Matter has to be cycled or transported or transferred from one sphere to the another sphere, and gravity. All living beings, whether it is a plant or an animal, they need nutrients. What are these nutrients? These are very, very essential for the organism to live, to grow, and to reproduce. These are nothing but the elements and compounds that the organisms need. Biogeochemical cycles move these substances through air, through water, soil, rock, and living organisms. So you can say that's why they are called as the cycles, because it goes on and on circulating in these four components, that is the atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere. The diagrammatic representation will show you how it is done. I mean, the solar energy gives the driving force for this biosphere. They take everything either from the air surrounding them, that is atmosphere, water body which is seen at the background, or from the soil or the lithosphere. You can see that their various elements are being circulated. The arrows show that this is a never-ending circle. So these minerals are circulated, be it carbon, phosphorus, nitrogen, water, or oxygen. They are circulated in this particular four interactions of four components of the environment. So we can say that plants, which are the producers, they take up the sun's energy and minerals from the soil or air or the water, and then they produce food by photosynthesis. They use this food, organic food, for their own development and growth. Then they are eaten by the animals, that is the herbivores, and these herbivores are in turn eaten by the carnivores. So here you see that the food which is produced by the plant is getting passed on to herbivore and then the carnivore. So consumers are taking it from the producers. Whether it is a producer or a consumer, they all undergo respiration to get energy from the food they have taken. So respiration is one process where the carbon dioxide element carbon can be given back to the environment. And then when these animals or plants die, their bodies are decomposed by decomposers or bacteria, and thus the locked up minerals or the minerals which are taken up by these producers and consumers are given back to the air, water, or soil. So thus the nutrients are cycled, and these cycles are called as the biogeochemical cycles, because involvement of life is there, involvement of earth, that is soil, air, and water also is there. These are called as a biogeochemical cycle. One such example that we are going to learn today is a carbon cycle. This photo here, this diagram represents the carbon cycle. You can see that the biosphere, the atmosphere, the hydrosphere and the lithosphere are exchanging these levels of carbons among each other, so that this carbon cycle is occurring smoothly. Now, why should we learn about carbon? Now, carbon is the skeleton of all life. Whether it is a plant or an animal, carbon is there in the entire body of that particular life. It is very, very important because it is taken up by the plants during photosynthesis, and these plants in turn fix the carbon as carbohydrate. Then during respiration, plants and animals and all living beings, they give away carbon dioxide during respiration. And then it is also released during decomposition or during fires, and then it is an important greenhouse gas. Carbon is present in the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, that is CO2 represented by CO2, which makes up approximately 0.04% of the atmospheric gases. It is also present in the ocean, water or the fresh water as dissolved carbon dioxide. Then it could also be present in rocks like limestone, that is CaCO3. Now, the movement of carbon globally between abiotic environment, which includes atmosphere, ocean and organisms, is known as carbon cycle. In this carbon cycle, you will see various steps, but the first step that we are going to discuss about, that is photosynthesis, is the only step where carbon is received by the plants. So carbon is used up here from the atmosphere. So here what happens is, during photosynthesis, plants, algae and cyanobacteria remove carbon dioxide from the air and fix it in the form of complex organic molecules like carbohydrates, you can say glucose. Now, they are having the capacity, that is the plants, algae and cyanobacteria are having the capacity to convert carbon in an inorganic form to organic or biological form. This is done by the producers during photosynthesis. The second step involves decomposition and respiration. What is decomposition? First, let us understand what is respiration. Now, if the process of photosynthesis is converting inorganic carbon into sugars, the plants use them for their growth, development and reproduction. Then the plants are eaten by the herbivores. Herbivores take these carbons from the plants and use for their growth, development and reproduction. Now herbivores are in turn eaten by carnivores, and these animals then use the carbon from the herbivores to or for their own needs to grow, develop and reproduce. So all these organisms, when they are breathing or during respiration, they give the carbon in the form of carbon dioxide back into the air. Also, when they die, that is when they get decomposed, when the dead bodies of these organisms are decomposed, the carbon which is trapped in the skeleton of these bodies is given back into the soil or into the atmosphere after decomposition. So the second step involves decomposition and respiration. Third step is nothing but the coal formation. Here, the dead bodies of trees are suddenly, when a group of trees or forests are buried suddenly into the earth, maybe because of earthquakes or some such natural calamity, they get converted into coal because they are subjected to anaerobic conditions before they are fully decayed. They are not decomposed completely, they are partially decomposed and they become coal beds. No, we do mine these coal beds, and these are nothing but the remains of forests or groups of trees millions of years ago. Then here some part of it is released into the atmosphere, but the majority of the plant body or plant body or forest is converted into coal bed. When we burn coal, we are releasing the remaining carbon dioxide from their bodies into the atmosphere. Then probably we have all the deposits of oil and natural gas underground because they are nothing but the remains of unicellular marine organisms years and years ago in the geological past. these are nothing but suddenly they go down into the deeper levels of the earth, and then they become the deposits of oil and natural gas. So you can say that coal, oil and natural gas as fossil fuels because they are formed from the remains of ancient organisms. These are very, very limited in supply. They are non-renewable resources. Now, when the fifth step is combustion. When we burn or combust, either we may burn, that is a human activity, or it could also be natural calamity like forest fire or volcanic eruptions. During these calamities, the oil or coal or natural gas or wood or forest are burnt, and when they are burnt, the carbon dioxide trapped in these bodies are given back to the environment. Combustion is nothing but when organic molecules are rapidly oxidized and converted to carbon dioxide and water with a release of light and heat. The sixth major step where carbon is trapped is the shells of marine organisms. They incorporate or they take up carbon from the marine water. So the shells of marine organisms are taking up a lot of carbon from the dissolved carbon from the oceans. And when these organisms die over a period of time, millions and millions of years ago, over a period of time, their shells sink into the water, then that is the ocean floor, then sediments cover them, and then they get cemented together and form what is now called as limestone. So limestone is nothing but the shells of marine organisms which are sedimented and cemented together. Now, in the seventh step, these limestone deposits which are present inside the earth because of geological uplifts are exposed to atmosphere. When they are exposed, these limestone are either physically or chemically weathered, and during this weathering, slowly they are eroded away. When they are eroded, carbon dioxide is released into the water and into the atmosphere. Now, the released carbon dioxide is now available for the plants to take up. So, here the carbon cycle starts once again. So you can say that from step 1 to step 7, in step 1 the plants are taking up carbon dioxide, and from step 2 to step 7 the trapped carbon dioxide is being released into the atmosphere or hydrosphere or into the lithosphere. So this particular diagrammatic representation summarizes the entire carbon cycle, where you see that because the air is having a certain amount of carbon dioxide, of course water is also having dissolved carbon dioxide, and soil is having some rock, that is a limestone or oil, natural gas and coal remains. These are all the carbon dioxide which are present in the soil. So these are the deposits, and they are all taken up by, especially carbon dioxide from the air is taken up by the plants, and they produce the food by photosynthesis. So they convert abiotic carbon into biological molecules. Then from these plants, the food material is given to all the other organisms, circulated to all other organisms, and because of cellular respiration, combustion and erosion of limestone, carbon dioxide is given, carbon is released back into the water and atmosphere and lithosphere. Why should we learn about this carbon cycle? Why is it very important for us? On the earth, the major drive or force which is sustaining the life is the process of photosynthesis. So the photosynthesis is a major source of food, and solar energy is the major source of energy. So photosynthesis is nothing but conversion of inorganic carbon to carbohydrate, organic carbohydrate. And during respiration, the exact opposite happens. The carbohydrate is broken down into carbon dioxide and water and releasing some energy which is trapped by the molecules inside the cells. So these two processes are important, and they are the key factors of carbon cycle. Then carbon dioxide plays a very important role in trapping the heat in atmosphere, and this is the major mechanism behind greenhouse effect. Normally you can say that Earth's in warmer temperatures when compared to other planets is because only of these greenhouse gases. But of course, nowadays, because of pollution, the levels of these greenhouse gases are increasing because of various other carbon containing gases in the atmosphere, and they are now responsible for global warming, which is observed in the recent decades. Then this decomposition, especially of dead bodies, is serving as a earth's waste disposal system, and carbon plays a very important role in combustion. So we can say that these are all the reasons because of which, and especially in the present scenario, we have to control the carbon effusion because of the greenhouse effect or the global warming. We have to learn about this carbon cycle and try to contain the increasing levels of temperature on this earth. What should you do for these things? You have to burn less, especially the fossil fuels, and then you have to promote plant life. That is, you have to plant more trees. It is the only way in through which we can reduce the global warming. So this is an overall a representation and the levels of carbon which is present in the various components or various spheres of the environment, that is atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere and biosphere. This will summarize the entire carbon cycle. Thank you.